My solo cup, even though I'm drinking water.
Red Solo Cup. Hey, welcome to Dylan Knows List Show. This is our vacation show. Me and Jerry Fletcher are just hanging out on a Saturday. I'm already drunk. A Saturday night here, 9 p.m. prime time. Dylan Knows. Fantastic. Just a very beachy, summery type of day. And cheers to everyone out there.
Cheers.
So everyone's probably wondering, what the hell am I watching now? Well, this is Dylan Knows, a weekly video show on YouTube. This is where usually on Sundays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but due to other obligations, we were unable to do it on Sunday at 12:30. So we said, hey, let's do a primetime show. I've done a couple of them in my almost year-long reign of terror. So and they're always fun. They're always a lot of exciting, a lot of fun stuff. And for once, knock on wood, I had no technical issues, which for those who know the show is like, hallelujah! But so every week is a different genre with a different co-host. This is the second weekend, I should say, of the month. Believe it or not, August, I mean, it's just moving right along also. Yeah. It's going to be fall before you know it. And it's our list show. My usual co-host is Gigi. Jerry, say hi.
Hello.
Hello. Let me play catch with you real quick. Here you go. Ready? Here you go. Catch it, Jerry. Woo!
Got it.
So you may be wondering, what the hell is going on? Well, Jerry and I, we do the list show, and our list show is we pick a topic, and we decide how many numbers we want to do. We've done 10, we've done 6, we've done, I think, 8 maybe once, or 7 or something like that. We've done 5, and usually our lists are different. We have had one list that was the same, and we should probably do that again sometime. Just not today, though. But we're doing our top 5 favorite vacation spots of ours, places that we've been before, that we've loved, and we'd like to share with you guys. Some of you may have actually been to the same places we have, and may have been to these places. If not, these are all fun places to go visit, vacation, have fun, and we'll probably do like little anecdotes and reasons why we like it and stuff like that. And if we have time, if this show goes by really quickly, we still have a little bit of time, we may have an additional top 5 list, top 5 places that we want to go to that we haven't gone to yet. So I have my list, Jerry has her list, and I also have the Q&A up, so those who are watching on Google+, if you want to ask a question, make a comment, tell us some of your favorite vacation spots, please do. Jerry and our list show usually tends to be more focused on pop culture stuff, but every once in a while we like to change it up a little bit. We did a conspiracy one not too long ago, and now we're doing the vacation spot ones. Don't worry though, we'll be going back to some pop culture stuff the next few months, but we'll see. List shows are easy to do, and there's all kinds of topics out there. So, without further ado, this is our top 5 favorite vacation spots that we've gone to and we're trying to recommend to you guys. So, Jerry, what's your number 5?
Okay, so my number 5, the way I numbered my list was probably like from once in a lifetime down to like, my number 1 is something you could probably do every year if you wanted to, based on where I live. But number 5 was, Ken and I got married and we were like, okay, where's one place we'd really, really love to go before we start a family? Where's this place where, we would never put 3 kids on a plane, we wouldn't do that to the people on the plane nor to ourselves, and fly this far and go away. And, it's funny because we sort of went back and forth on whether we should do it, whether we should go for it, finances, this and that. So finally I convinced him, and I'm like, you know what, let's just do it. It's once in a lifetime. We're never going to do it again, and that was Australia. We actually went to Australia the year before John was born. And Dylan is frozen. I hope he can still hear me. I'll keep talking. So we ended up going to Melbourne, Cairns, and Sydney. And Dylan, are you there?
Yeah, okay. I'm there. Sorry, you froze. I'm sitting there, I'm frozen.
Like,
please, Google God, please don't do this to me.
You're frozen. Okay, good. So, okay.
So it's a once-in-a-lifetime event.
You heard everything I said? Okay, good.
We heard right up to once-in-a-lifetime event, and then you were about to tell us, and you went...
Oh, you froze too. Okay, I froze too. All right, so it was Australia. And, and we went the year before John was born. and it was just this awesome trip. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. I love the fact that it was on the other side of the world. So we decided to work it around, our American Thanksgiving, because then we'd already have those 4 days off. And that Monday through Wednesday is sort of a bleep week anyway for Americans. It's not a blow-off week, but, not so many people are around. So we were
Oh
able
yeah.
to kind of throw 2 weeks around the Thanksgiving. And what we did was we went to Melbourne first. So from Los Angeles to Melbourne, it's 15 and a half hours on a
Ugh.
plane.
Ugh.
And this was in 2003. And what it is they give you this little bag when you get on the plane. And in it, no joke, is a pair of socks, a toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, one of those the sleeping eye
Okay.
patches
Uh-huh.
to sleep. There were a couple other things in there, and literally you get breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like you get 3 meals during the course of this 15 and a half hours. And on the planes, on the Qantas plane, they have these areas. It's probably like 6 foot by 5 foot where it's empty because you're encouraged every couple of hours or so to get up and you have to stretch. Like you have to do it, or else you can get like blood clots and blah blah blah. So I remember Ken and I we fell asleep. And we woke up and we're like, okay, let's see how much longer we have. And I think he slept for like 4 hours. I slept for a couple and like watched the movie. And we're like, oh my God, we still have 11 hours left. It was just one of these insane things, but you get through it. And it's, just being on the plane itself is an adventure. So we ended up in Melbourne first, which is on the east coast of Australia. And what we did there is there's a road called Great Ocean Road. And you get on a bus and they take you down to where this road basically is on the southern point of Australia. So if like you're looking out, you're looking towards Antarctica, which like is so
Oh
mind blowing.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh
And
wow.
there's this thing called the 12 Apostles, and there's these huge giant rock formations and they almost look like sandstones. So picture like if the Grand Canyon was sort of cut out in the ocean. That's sort of what it
Oh
looks like, and they are
wow.
outrageous and beautiful. And there's these looking points where you get to look at them, and I think some of them have crumbled. I don't know if anybody out there knows. For some reason, I want to say that since then, unfortunately, there's like only 8 left because
Hmm.
they almost look like little tunnels, and then that piece in between that's starting to break, with erosion and
The
whatnot.
roast and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think there's 8. And then another thing we did, it's the Penguin Parade on Phillips Island. And what you do is you go to this beach at sunset and you sit in these bleachers and these little penguins, and they're called little penguins. I don't know if the breed has a specific name because when I did some research online to like remember, it was called little penguins wherever I looked. They come out of the ocean and it's wild, and there's like hundreds of them, and they come out of the ocean and they go running and they scatter around you and they find like their little homes and little things, and it's something that you can do, and every night these little penguins do that. So
Oh,
that
that's
was like really
awesome.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, 2 little fun points of being in the Melbourne area. From there we flew up to Cairns, which would be like the equivalent of like where Maine is in the
Okay.
United States, and that's where the Great Barrier Reef is. So
Ooh.
what you do is you take a boat to it's a floating pier, and then from there you can either snorkel or scuba dive, however you want to go down into the reef. And Nemo had just come out like months before, so they were totally playing up the reef, the clownfish, the anomalies, and all that. And it was really cool because everything was like Nemo, and the reef was just absolutely beautiful. And I know that too, in the last 11 years, there's been a lot of bleaching and a lot of damage to it as
Mm.
well. I think they were saying eventually it's just not going to be there anymore. So we were happy to see, as much of it as we could while we were there. Just fishermen and pollution and people just not taking care. And I also think like global warming too is affecting it as well, if I'm correct.
It's a
And then
shame. Yeah.
yeah, it is a shame because it's so beautiful, and the colors are just as rich and vivid as like when you see photographs of it. It really was an awesome thing to go see. From there, we went to Sydney. And that's where we ended our trip. From Sydney, we went back home. But Sydney, I have to say, is probably the most beautiful city in the world because it's big, like New York City size city, but as clean as can be, immaculate. The parks are like done perfectly. We got to tour the Opera House, and then
Ooh.
we did something called the Sydney Harbor Bridge Climb, where you climb the actual bridge. Swear to God.
Awesome.
And Ken's deathly afraid of heights, and I made him do it. And I was like, you don't have a choice. So what they do is you take this little like pre-class first before they even put you out there, and you wear these special suits, and they have like the climbers clamps, and I forget
Oh
all the
yeah,
terminology.
The clamps is a good name
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
the clicky things. So you go in groups of 8, and you're attached to one another, and then from there you're attached to a line. So if, God forbid, somebody was to fall, the 8 of you would dangle, but nobody would actually fall down into the traffic on the bridge, which I guess that's comforting. You have to feel good about something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you go up one side, and you literally cross over it. And when you're looking down, you can feel and
Ooh.
see and hear
Ooh.
the traffic. Yeah, it's whizzing by.
Ooh.
And then you can come back down the other side. So we did the climb at dusk. So basically, the sun was still
Oh,
up
beautiful.
on our way up, and then on the way down, it was nighttime, and all of Sydney was lit up.
Oh wow,
So
that's
yeah, that
gorgeous.
was really wild. And it's funny because it's just beautiful there, and the people are so nice and so warm and helpful. We ended up taking a ferry to where the Olympic grounds were held. It's sort of like on the outskirts, so we sort of got lost but didn't, but everybody was so helpful getting us there and getting us back into the city. But it was really cool to see, even though the Olympics had been like X amount of years beforehand, kind of
Right.
thing. Don't ask me what year that was, but but no, it was an amazing trip. And afterward, Ken even said to me, "I'm so glad that you convinced me, because that really was just once in a lifetime. We'll never do anything like that again."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's on my my top 5 places I want to go to. So
Hmm.
if we don't get to it, it's up there. It's one of those places that it sounds so mysterious.
Yeah.
It's down at the bottom of the world.
Oh, you froze. Come back.
Called Lord of the Rings, the New Zealand travel
Mm.
film, so because they just show all the courses of that. But Australia is one of those places that is fascinating to me, and I would love to go sometime. Now, did you go snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef then, or did you just
What
go?
I did was Ken scuba dived, and I wanted to go deeper than a snorkel. So they
Okay.
had, like in cartoons where they have those big helmets you put on, and it's attached to the oxygen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but it's funny because they weigh heavy, and I did that version because I was afraid to try snorkeling for the first time in the Great Barrier Reef. So I did that, and what they do is it was like a stairwell down from the pier, and
Oh,
they
okay.
actually have to help push you down, and then you're down there for, I forget how long, it's like 10, 15 minutes, and you're looking at, and all the fish and everything, they're all coming around you. So I did that version of it, whereas snorkeling, you're just sort of like skimming the top.
The top,
So I
right.
wanted to get down below, but I wanted to find a way to do it without scuba diving. So
Did,
yeah, so I could actually be there with the fish.
did you see any sharks, or was it just the fish hanging around?
Just the fish, and I have a feeling that like where this floating pier is located, and the fact that they do tours all the time,
They probably have
it's a
them.
deliberate, yeah,
Right. Okay.
location
Yeah. Because
for that.
yeah, that could be possibly dangerous to have if you just say, hey, let's
Yeah,
go
no
scuba
shark
diving, and
gators.
oh wait, there's a shark. Okay.
Oh, and I do have to say, I am the only Italian that can say that I swam with the fishes and lived with
That's awesome.
That's
I love that.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry to say, my number 5 is nowhere near as interesting as that. The way I have mine is these are just spots that I really, really liked
uh,
from the least, well, not the least, but the ones that I liked a lot. But my number 1 is a place I really, really loved, and so on and so forth. My number 5 is Boulder, Colorado.
oh
You
yeah.
you been out there?
Uh-huh.
It was part of this. It was great. My dad, in his second marriage, he's on his third marriage now, but that's beside the point. His second marriage, my one-time stepmom, Marianne, her best friend was a travel agent. So Marianne didn't have any kids, so the two of them were able to do a lot of different things. My dad did a lot of traveling during the, I don't know, 10 years or so he was married to Marianne.
Awesome.
And because she liked us, me and my sister, and we liked her, they also set up family vacations for us. So we did a couple really great family vacations, and most of them are going to be on this list because they are just so memorable. I did it when I was in my teenage formidable years. So, but the Boulder one was the culmination of probably the best trip I ever had. We flew out to Denver, drove up to Yellowstone Grand Teton area, and then
Oh,
back
cool.
down to Boulder. And then we hung out in Boulder for I think a day or two, and then we drove back down to Denver, and we went back out from Denver. One of Marianne's friends lived in Boulder, so we actually got to stay at his house. And Boulder itself, for those who might not know, Boulder is a basically is a college town. University of Colorado is right there. And so, that's the bulk of what Boulder is, but that's not all it is. I mean, from what I recall, my memories of Boulder was there's a big like shopping area, Main Street type of area that's cobblestones. And
Hmm.
then there's lots of stores. You have all kinds of stores. You've got bookstores. You've got clothing stores. You've got lots of restaurants. Lots of crazy restaurants. Like vegan restaurants. This was back in I don't know 1990 maybe some no 92 91 somewhere around there, 92 somewhere around there. So the vegan stuff hadn't really gotten a hold elsewhere. So it was like a sort of a niche market in Boulder. So they had the vegan restaurants. They had crazy like every restaurant you could think of. They probably had. They had an Italian restaurant. They had an Indian restaurant. They had an Ethiopian restaurant. They had American restaurant. Stuff like that. But it's a gorgeous little town. It is, yeah, it is a college town. And so we went there when it was off college time, so there weren't a lot of college kids. I can only imagine what it's like, during college time with all the college kids running around and doing stuff. But you're surrounded by mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous. The I think the NOAA, the weather people, they have their main headquarters up in Boulder also. So it's a nice little town. The guy's house we stayed at was gorgeous, and most of the houses in that area were gorgeous. They had pit beef stands around there, which I remember also, which was fantastic. So it was just in general, it was just one of those things where I'm a mountain guy. I love mountains, and you went out on this guy's deck and you're looking at a mountain. I mean, not a big one, not like one of the Rocky Mountains, but one of the smaller ones. But still, it's a freaking mountain right there, and it's like, oh my God, that's so gorgeous, and the grass is so green, and the town is really nice. And Boulder's such a nice town and such an interesting town that Stephen King actually used it as the base of operations for the good guys in The Stand, even though they filmed it in they filmed the movie version in Salt Lake City. Boulder is actually a city that the good guys go to. So it's like a regular neighborhood.
Oh, you're frozen. Dylan.